What is up, everyone? It is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. And so today's video is super exciting because today we are going to be talking about what incoming students must know when they're going to college. So if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Rachel. I graduated from UC Berkeley in the class of 2020, where I double majored in cognitive science and legal studies. And now I'm currently working full-time at a law firm. And so if you're a student going to college this year or a student applying to colleges this cycle, you should definitely check out Study Hall College Consulting. It's a team of myself and other UC Berkeley students where we specialize in reviewing college application essays and consulting one-on-one with students and parents. So definitely check out all of our social medias and website. On our website, we have a free blog where we post weekly advice, and on our social medias, we post a ton of tips and tricks as well. So without further ado, let's get into what incoming students, freshmen, and transfers must know when you're going to college. So this first thing might sound like super obvious, but it actually is a struggle for some students. And so my first big tip would be to actually go to class. And you might be thinking like, yeah, duh, Rachel, of course I would be going to class, but I cannot tell you how many times my freshman year and all throughout my 4 years of college where I would have classmates and friends just like, never go to class, ever. And you know, some really smart students can get away with never going to class and they just make up all of the work on their own time, but chances are you will need to go to class in order to be successful. And also, skipping all of your classes isn't going to set you up for success in the long run, because I've seen so many students who never went to class right before the midterm or the final exam. They are pulling all-nighters, cramming all of the information. They're super stressed because they realized they didn't leave enough time to actually learn all of the material from the classes that they skipped. A lot of professors, they do record their lectures, and so that's why some students felt like, okay, I can skip this class because it's recorded, I'll push it off, I'll watch it later, which then gets them into the pickle because they actually never watch them later and they have like 14 lectures to watch right before the midterm or final. And so I highly recommend just go to class, listen to the lecture in real time, get it over with, and then use the recorded version of the lecture as something to go back to when you're studying for the exam. And so I have a video on my channel about how I took notes in classes, so I'll have that linked down below. But in that video, I talked a little bit how I would use the recorded versions of the lecture to go back and listen to again after already attending the in-person lecture. So I would use the recorded version as a way if I missed something in class or I was confused after attending the lecture live, I could always go back to the recorded version rather than other students who just used the recorded version and that was their only way of learning. So definitely don't do that. It will create bad habits and definitely cause a lot of stress for you right before the big tests because you never went to lecture. The next thing you incoming students must know is when you get a homework assignment, project, big assignment, something like that, definitely look at it, peruse it, browse it the day that you get the assignment. Even if they gave you like a week or 1 month in order to complete this assignment, just take a look at it the night that you get it, look through it, and just sort of gauge how long this assignment is going to take you. You know, there's so many times where you might get an assignment and when the professor is announcing it, it might sound super easy, lazy and so you procrastinate. Maybe you only give yourself 1 week or 1 night in order to complete it, and by the time you actually start to look at this project or homework assignment, it's too late and you actually didn't leave yourself enough time to complete it. So honestly, basically start early on everything that you get. Once you get more in the swing of things and you sort of learn whether these projects take a long time or not, then you'll be able to more successfully triage your tasks and figure out, okay, what's more important and what's going to take me the longest, so you can successfully time manage. So the next thing that you must know, and I feel like I say this in a lot of my videos, but it would be to go to office hours. My freshman year, I was really nervous to go into office hours because the professor or like the graduate student or the TA, they are always like super intelligent, honestly sort of intimidating to talk to. But seriously, office hours are a great way for you to get to know your professor or graduate student and to get FaceTime with these people, especially if you're taking a lot of introductory classes where there might be like 500 students in the class. So if you go to office hours, you will get on a first name basis with these professors, and then if you're looking for like internships, research opportunities, or even letters of recommendation, you will need to have that face-to-face interaction with the professor. And similarly for office hours, if you have any questions, don't struggle in silence, but go to office hours of the professor or the graduate student to ask questions, whether it's like homework help or project help or like essay thesis help. These people have office hours as their sole goal is to help the student. So they want students to attend, so there's nothing to be like nervous about or intimidated by, but go with questions and go and ask them. Or if you don't have any questions, go to the professor and just ask them about their life, or maybe they have papers or books published that you can ask about, or ask them how they got into this field that they're teaching, things about their life that you may be interested in. And honestly, for a lot of professors and graduate students, if you're going to office hours, they can see that you're putting in this extra time and effort into the class, and they know your face, they know your name. So sometimes if you're on like the borderline of like an A- and a B+, because you've been going into office hours and the professor or the GSI knows you, they may be able to help you out in the future in the grading department. The next thing that you all must know is that you should not be making BS excuses if you miss deadlines. You know, I am sure the professor or the graduate students, they get tons of emails if students are missing big deadlines like a project turn-in, a problem set turn-in, an essay turn-in, like, oh, I missed the deadline. And they probably get a lot of those emails every single semester. So that's why a lot of professors are very strict on deadlines. And if something did come up, they do ask for things or proof of something happening, because a lot of students do lie about those things. But truthfully, if you do miss a deadline, don't lie about it and make up some kind of excuse, because the professor can probably see right through it. Similarly, I worked as a hiring and training coordinator with Residential Life, and a part of that position was we would help to hire all of the resident assistants, also known as RAs, who live in the dorms. Every year we would have the resident assistant application, and we would close it, you know, whenever the application closed, and we would always get tons and tons of emails after the application deadline of students making excuses of why they missed the deadline. And so there was always so many students that would say like, oh, my Wi-Fi was down, I couldn't submit, can I submit now? 600 other students could submit the application on on time, but you couldn't, it really raises questions like, do they really want to accept you as being an RA if you can't even follow a simple application deadline? Things like that can happen where some emergency comes up before you have like an application deadline or big exam or project deadline, but literally don't make excuses, don't lie about it, just own up to it. Or if you know something is coming up, email in advance. Similar to my other point about looking at your projects ahead of time, look at all of your things ahead of time, plan ahead, because if emergencies do come up, you don't want to be in a pickle where your application doesn't get accepted or the professor isn't going to let you submit the homework or project or let you retake an exam that maybe you missed. Another thing that you must know is that you do not need to be best friends with your roommates. I think from a lot of college movies, it's like the stereotype that you are going to be buddy-buddy, best friends, BFFs forever with your freshman year college roommates, which is the case for some people, but for a lot of people, it isn't the case. And so this isn't to say you shouldn't be friendly or cordial or considerate with your roommates. You should definitely do all of those things, but if you aren't vibing as best friends, it's okay to look elsewhere and become friends with other people that maybe you have more similar interests or more similar values with. And for a lot of students, living in such close quarters with another person is brand new for all of you, and so you do really need to learn how to communicate and compromise, because you don't want to become enemies with your roommates, which makes your living situation totally unlivable, where you both hate each other and have a lot of problems, because that is not going to set you up for success. The next thing that incoming students should definitely know is that over these next 2 to 4 years, you should definitely try to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You are gaining a lot of freedom and independence. You may be moving away from home and living alone for the first time, which is all super exciting. So definitely college is the time where you're going to learn and grow and learn so many new things about yourself, your learning style, what you like and what you dislike, which is a really cool and transformative time. With that, you definitely want to appropriately push yourself out of your comfort zone. So if you're like introverted or shy, try talking to a lot of new people. If there's some kind of hobby or interest that you've never pursued, college would be the perfect time to like join a club for that hobby or interest, or find other people who are interested in a similar thing. Push yourself to find your interest, try a new hobby, and explore your passions. And so finally, my last piece of advice of what incoming students must know is that one grade won't define you. As a resident assistant, and even for myself going into college, there's a lot of students where your first exam might not be what you're expecting. Even throughout college, you might get grades that are lower than you have ever received in your life, and that is not something to be discouraged about, but definitely take what you've learned by studying for that exam, seeing that low score, and go to office hours, go to free tutoring, and see how you can study differently, how you can do the homework differently to score better on the next exam or homework or project. And with that, if you are struggling, definitely don't be afraid to ask for help. So a lot of colleges will offer like free counseling for students where you can go in and talk to a professional. So if you do have negative thoughts or feelings, definitely go and ask for help. And so yeah, those are some of the things that I think every incoming student should know before going to college. Definitely, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. As always, thank you all so much for watching. It really means a lot, and I will see you all next time. Bye!